Hello and welcome to Health Professional Radio. I'm your host, Neil Howard. Thank you so much for joining us. Going to be speaking with Stephen Engle, CEO of CohBar. He's joining us here to talk about how space travel affects mitochondria. Welcome to Health Professional Radio. Stephen Engle, thanks for taking the time.
Thank you, Neil.
Now, I mentioned that you are CEO of CohBar, CohBar Incorporated. Give us a little bit of your background. Tell us what it is that you do, and then talk a bit about your role there as CEO of CohBar and CohBar's mission.
Thanks, Neil. So I've been with the company a little over a year and a half, but my career is in biotech. And so one of the original things I did was got the nicotine patches approved. And so I'm a drug developer and look to bring innovative technologies to help people healthier and overcome disease. Mm-hmm. CohBar's mission is to develop new compounds to help patients. And the source of those compounds is really interesting. It's from inside an organelle called the mitochondria, which we all learned was the powerhouse of the cell in biology in high school. But it also turns out that the mitochondria controls lots of things. And so what we're doing is we're using the compound sequences that the mitochondria generates in order to develop drugs, if you will, to help patients in a number of different areas.
Now, you wrote an article that was published in Grit Daily on NASA's breakthrough study published in Cell on the effects of space travel on mitochondria. How did that study transport mitochondria into the spotlight?
Yeah, that's a great way of putting it. It was totally unexpected. They were looking to find out what the effect of space travel was going to be. We're talking about, Elon Musk going to Mars and things like that. Mm-hmm. But you got to know people are going to survive on the way. And what they were looking at is comparing information on twins as well as on mice between what happens when they're in space and when they're on the planet Earth. And what they found out, quite to their surprise, is that being up in space affects the mitochondria in such a way as to cause a lot of problems. So imagine that you're a twin, you're one of two, and your twin comes down and they look at your DNA and they find out that it's not the same after just a few months in space, and that in ways it's not the same. It's a situation where it's causing problems for the one twin that went up in space.
Now, you talked about us learning about the role of mitochondria in high school, and then you mentioned that it controls so many other things. What other aspects of our health does it control?
So mitochondrial dysfunction, which is the inability to control, results in a number of diseases. And you can imagine diseases like diabetes, obesity, and neurological diseases like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's, and cardiovascular disease. So in total, it represents, just millions of people. And it's the kind of thing where your mitochondria, the older you are in general, the more it degrades in its function. And that's part of what we call aging. But the problem is, of course, that can lead to serious disease. And the question is, what can you do about it? And what CohBar is doing is looking to improve the operation by coming up with these compounds from the mitochondria genome, its DNA, to help patients and people who are in trouble. And some of the diseases that we're targeting are disease that's a fatty liver type disease, which can be quite devastating, result in death, or cancer. It's called NASH. And a large part of the population is at risk of it, over 30 million people in the United States. So it's a problem that goes with the obesity epidemic we're having. And our first compounds in a clinical study of patients who are subjects who have fatty liver disease and are potentially on their way towards NASH, and they're usually obese as well. So we're trying to reduce their weight and reduce the fat that's causing problems inside their liver. There are a couple of other areas. One is related to the COVID epidemic, which is one of the things that COVID does, as I think we've all heard now, is it causes tremendous problems with your lungs. And it turns out that the compound we have that we're developing from this mitochondria source has a very positive effect in preclinical models, animal models, of the pulmonary type disease. So that's another area. And a third area is in an orphan disease called idiopathic pulmonary fibrosis. And the problem there is simply that people's lungs are degrading in function. Unfortunately, most of them won't survive 5 years. And so, again, this source from the mitochondria, which has been a total surprise, nobody thought that it would help this way, has turned into be essentially a gold mine of potential molecules. And what CohBar is doing is it's essentially got 100 keys up on the wall, and we're pulling them down one by one in order to see what biological lock they may unlock.
Now, when it comes to space travel, did the study suggest any benefit to the changes in the mitochondria that was found to take place as a result of space travel?
Well, they haven't reported a benefit. Quite the opposite. It's problematic. And there are several things that happen in space. The lack of gravity, we're all aware of the wasting of muscles, and also there's a lot of radiation in space, which can affect your DNA and cause you not to be able to produce the kind of organs you're supposed to. But this third area is brand new, which is the idea that it's disturbing the function of mitochondria. And by doing that, it's causing a number of problems. Your mitochondria are the powerhouse of the cell. If they stop functioning, you can go into a brownout first, and then you can actually not be able to do things. On the Earth, when people's mitochondria aren't working well, one of the things that happens is what we call chronic fatigue. People just are tired. They tire out a lot faster. And we know that about people who are older, often have that issue. And part of that issue is that their mitochondria aren't working well. What they saw with the astronauts is that their mitochondria are degrading at a very rapid rate. And so they were aging at a much faster rate as measured by their mitochondria function. So, it's just amazing. It affects your energy. It can affect how some of your organs work, as well as your your immune system. So it's a serious problem, and nobody had thought that this is what it was going to be. So it was a shocker that space travel, one of the key hurdles we're going to have to get over is protecting people traveling from this potential problem with their mitochondria.
Steve, where can our listeners go online and get some more information about this study and about CohBar Incorporated as well?
Yeah, so on CohBar, CohBar.com, to make it easy on everybody, that's the easy place to go to. And I think as far as finding the story on NASA, you can go to Grit Daily, GRIT Daily. I'm sure that's findable online, but what you're looking for is NASA research, NASA research on the effects of space travel on mitochondria. So that article is sitting there from what we've been talking about.
Steve, thank you for joining us here on the program this evening. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Neil. It's been a great conversation, and stay tuned. We're looking forward to bringing some new therapies.
And we're looking forward to speaking with you again.
Thank you.
You've been listening to Health Professional Radio. I'm your host, Neil Howard. Audio copies of this program are available at hpr.fm and healthprofessionalradio.com.au. You can also subscribe to the podcast on iTunes. Listen in, download it, SoundCloud, and be sure to subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com, Health Professional Radio.